In the 1960s, the world watched in awe as humans first set foot on the moon. But today, it seems as if we've forgotten how to get there. Reaching the lunar surface seems to have become an insurmountable challenge.
Astrobotics' Peregrine moon lander has failed its mission hours after it started.
iSpace says its uncrewed moon lander has crashed onto the surface of the moon.
The Indian Space Agency lost communication with its Chandrayaan-2 lunar mission on Saturday.
The company says it appears that the lander either tipped on its side during or shortly after landing. Russia's Lunar 25 spacecraft has apparently crashed. Israel's mission to the moon Thursday failed in the final moments before landing.
An engine fault caused it to crash, scattering into thousands of pieces.
Why is getting back to the moon so hard? Why are these challenges tripping up even the most advanced landers if NASA was able to touch down on the moon in the 1960s with ancient tech? The moon has long been a beacon of inspiration and a testing ground for science and ambition. 12 people have walked on its surface and 24 have orbited. As we gear up to potentially launch a fleet of colonists to Mars, understanding how to live and work on another world begins here on the lunar surface. Decades after awe-inspiring moonwalks, silence engulfed the moon for over 50 years. No crewed or uncrewed landers were sent back to the moon in more than half a century. Is that because the moon landing was all staged? Are engineers today just not as talented as their slide-ruled grandparents? Why did our lunar journey stop? Has the world forgotten how to land something on the moon's surface? You already know there is more to this story. My name is Felix, welcome to What About It? Let's dive right in. Today the moon beckons us once again, but why the renewed interest? After all, we've been there already, right? Planted a flag, scooped up some dirt, what's left to do? The last moon landing of the Apollo era was in 1972 with Apollo 17. America returned to the surface only in 2024 with the successful but crooked Intuitive Machines 1 mission. There was a 52-year gap for US lunar landings, over half a century. Why are we even trying again? Why are America, Russia, China, Japan and India suddenly sending landers to the moon's surface? There is one common reason, and it's not as sudden as you may think. This has been evolving for the last few decades, and we are all arriving roughly at the same time. The US government has had an ongoing project to return to the moon with crewed missions since the Constellation program was established in 2005 under the administration of former US President George W. Bush.
Our third goal is to return to the moon by 2020.
Well, better late than never, I suppose. Anyways, as you just heard, the efforts to go back to the moon have been ongoing in various stages for the last 18 years. The overall Constellation program was cancelled, and then aspects of it were relaunched, so to speak, around 2010 as the Artemis program. Parallel to this, other nations had begun investing in sending probes to the lunar surface. Like the USA, they have aspirations to explore the surface with their own astronauts and establish their own research outposts on the surface. Space exploration has many benefits outside of learning more about what's out there. Investing in hard exploration missions develops know-how. Localized research, manufacturing and scientific expertise have wide applications beyond research. It's also simply cheaper now, more than ever, to reach a lunar orbit thanks to numerous advancements in rocket technology and the spread of knowledge of how to actually build them. Political tensions today are sadly reminiscent of a soft Cold War that has spurred nations towards demonstrating their technological prowess. Since President Bush reignited America's lunar ambition with the Constellation program and later under the banner of Artemis, our quest has been unrelenting. Slow, but unrelenting. The geopolitical stakes are real for these moon missions. Countries like Russia, China and India want to be the next to have their astronauts walk on the surface of the moon to express their soft power.
NASA is an instrument of American power. Not hard power, it's soft power, it's diplomatic power. We want to see American astronauts working side by side with international partners on the surface of the moon.
NASA is the greatest soft power that the country has, and it's been that way from its inception. Another factor of soft power is subtly flexing its potential hard power. If they can walk on the moon and survive, what else could they do? On a positive note, did you know that the moon isn't just a desolate rock? It holds valuable resources, such as water ice nestled within its shadowy craters. This ice can be transformed into vital supplies: oxygen, drinking water, and most importantly, propellant for spacecraft. If we ever want to go further than the moon, a gas station outside of Earth's gravity would be incredibly helpful. The moon also holds a wealth of helium-3, an isotope that's extremely rare on Earth. We currently have roughly 15 kilograms of it on Earth. That's all. Estimates for the moon suggest that there are between 100,000 and 1 million metric tons buried in the top few meters of lunar regolith. Helium-3 has the potential to revolutionize energy production, offering a form of nuclear power that is clean and completely free from radiation hazards. Helium-3 is one of the best available fuels for fusion reactors. If fusion using helium-3 became viable and we could mine the moon at scale, its helium-3 could power all of Earth for 30,000 to 300,000 years based on current estimates and consumption. That's about 700 times all the energy currently stored in Earth's known fossil fuel reserves. Ha! I'd say that is worth a trip. The moon's inhospitable and remote regions prompt us to push the boundaries of innovation. Our goal is not merely to visit, but to build a sustainable lunar outpost. This outpost would serve as more than just a hub for scientific exploration. It would act as a critical stepping stone towards establishing habitats on Mars and anywhere else. Before we can inhabit Mars, we must master the extraction of lunar resources, the creation of propellant, and long-term survival on the moon. This step-by-step approach is crucial as we expand our horizons in space exploration. Consider astronauts who've spent over a year on the International Space Station. This pales in comparison to a 3-year voyage to Mars and back. Such a journey requires preparations, and the moon provides a great proving ground at a safer distance. The uncrewed probes, being launched by a wide variety of countries today, are extremely important in advancing our collective lunar ambitions. These missions are designed to test new technologies that will enhance the safety of human-rated lunar landers. Additionally, they explore a diverse array of lunar sites, providing crucial data that will help pinpoint the optimal location for our inaugural lunar outpost. This strategic exploration aims to ensure that when we select a site, it maximizes both scientific potential and safety for future lunar settlers. Before we delve too far into the future of lunar exploration, let's take a step back and examine how we arrived at this point. Viewers of the channel are likely already familiar with the 1960s space race. Red versus blue, communism versus capitalism, vanilla versus chocolate. Obviously, chocolate won. Most people have a very rosy picture of the Apollo program, assuming everything went smoothly. It was far from it. The overall success of the Apollo program was built upon failure after failure, with talented engineers persevering through those lessons to create robust systems safe enough to land humans on the moon. Even during Apollo 11, the famous first landing, a major failure occurred when Neil and Buzz were descending to the lunar surface. Only because highly trained astronauts were on board were they able to continue the descent with only 1 second of propellant to spare on touchdown. 1 second. Apollo was a combination of high investment, perseverance, and sheer luck, all built on the foundation of valuable knowledge gained from past failures. Failures that, unfortunately, even paid the highest price there is. At its peak in the 1960s, NASA's budget made up 4.41% of the total federal budget of the United States. That is a huge amount of money. NASA had 12 failed robotic lunar missions until it finally succeeded on its 13th attempt, Ranger 7, on July 28, 1964. This Ranger class of vehicle failed 5 of its 9 missions. At one point, the program was called Shoot and Hope. That is not a very comforting nickname. The budget for the program was roughly $1.25 billion in today's US dollars. The Ranger vehicles were an impactor class of spacecraft, and they did exactly what it sounds like. They impacted or crashed into the moon. No landing needed. While en route to the lunar surface, they transmitted valuable telemetry and video feeds that helped NASA develop its next class of lunar vehicles, the Surveyors. The Surveyor missions had 7 lunar landing attempts, 5 of which were successful, already getting better. The program cost roughly $4.5 billion in today's US dollars. It was more ambitious compared to the Ranger program. The biggest difference? They attempted and succeeded in doing soft landings on the lunar surface and not crashing, and they deployed a wide range of experiments. As a fun fact, years later, on Apollo 12, they were actually able to land within 180 meters of Surveyor 3 and cut pieces off of it to bring back to Earth so scientists could study the long-term effect on material exposed to the lunar environment. You can see the camera mirror mast at the Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. today. The lunar landers of today are essentially trying to do the same tasks as their forefathers, but cheaper, faster, and better. Oh, and harder, just overall harder. For non-US landers, the challenge is especially daunting as they often lack a substantial flight heritage to base their designs on. Fortunately, the majority of technical documentation from NASA's missions in the 1960s remains readily accessible for reference, although there really is no substitute for first-hand real experience. Now let's discuss costs. Taxpayer money is a buzzword after all, and for good reason. There is good news. Countries are exploring the moon more economically than ever. Here is a breakdown of each nation's cost per lander in US dollars. China's Chang'e class of lander is anywhere from $100 to $175 million. Russia's Luna 25 lander was roughly $130 million. Japan's iSpace Slim lander was roughly $121.5 million. Israel's Space IL Bereshit lander is roughly $100 million. India's Chandrayaan lander prices are hard to find, but they are at roughly $90 million. And finally, NASA's CLIPS landers are coming in on average at $70 million each. Wait, CLIPS? What's that? NASA does love its acronyms. It stands for Commercial Lunar Payload Services. I'll let former NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine give a brief explanation on what it's generally about.
We're buying services to go to the surface of the moon, where NASA is not purchasing, owning, and operating the hardware, but instead we're buying a service to drive down our cost and increase access. We want those companies to go get customers that are not us. And a lot of these are doing just that.
That's quintessentially America. Driving down costs while focusing on what NASA does best.
Science!
It's worth noting that the Japanese Slim and Israel's Bereshit are also commercial landers, and they could potentially compete with CLIPS contractors for payloads in the future. Next up is speed. Are we slower than back in the Apollo days? The CLIPS program is only 7 years old and has already launched 4 landers, with 1 complete failure, 2 partial successes, and 1 full success, Firefly Aerospace's Blue Ghost Mission 1. Advancing from contract to moon landing in such a short time frame is extraordinary by aerospace standards. To date, the CLIPS program has 4 more landers under contract and additional announcements are expected. International efforts have also been impressively swift, typically developing their lander in under 10 years. That's not much for a moon landing without previous experience. Now, how are these landers better than their predecessors? Firstly, the selected landing sites are far more ambitious. Most CLIPS landers are set to target the moon's south pole, an area that poses significant challenges due to its unique location and complex lighting conditions. The sun remains very low on the horizon, never rising more than a few degrees above it, leading to long shadows that rotate with the terrain. This creates a landscape of stark contrasts, with areas of intense sunlight and deep, permanent shadows within craters and depressions. But then, why don't we just pick something less challenging? This particular region is of high interest because NASA plans to construct a lunar outpost there, likely near Shackleton Crater. This site is strategic as, because of the permanent shadows, it harbors lunar ice, which can be crucial for sustainable living. It also offers terrain suitable for mounting large solar panels vertically. Such an arrangement could potentially capture solar power almost continuously, even during the lunar night, maximizing the outpost's energy efficiency. There's also the added benefit of a near continuous line of sight to Earth, so communication blackouts will be rare. Water, energy, communication. There's no home like Shackleton Crater.
Hi, Bob. Hi, Bob.
Some of these landers are even designed to endure the harsh lunar night, which lasts about 14 days, with temperatures plummeting to an average of minus 133 degrees Celsius in total darkness. Imagine keeping electronics operational under such extreme conditions. They generally don't respond well. Solutions include long-lasting batteries to power heaters for critical components, or using materials that can withstand both extreme cold and the lunar day's high of 127 degrees Celsius. That is a difference of 260 degrees Celsius between day and night. And the lander needs to operate in both for weeks. A few lunar landers have notably mastered this challenge. As of the time this script was written, Japan's Slim lander has successfully weathered 3 lunar nights. Even more impressively, China's Chang'e-4 lander and rover have been operational on the moon's far side for over 4 years, largely due to their radioisotope thermoelectric generator. The techniques they've employed are likely to set a standard that other missions will strive to emulate. Surviving the lunar night significantly enhances the value of these missions, as it greatly extends the potential for scientific research and observation on the lunar surface. Modern flight software enables landers to autonomously select their landing zones, thereby enhancing their survival prospects. It also collects valuable data. This data is crucial, for example, for SpaceX, as it develops the software for the Starship HLS flight computer for Artemis, thereby improving the vehicle's safety and increasing its chances of success. Unlike 70 years ago, when landers were built heavier and more robust to withstand harsh landings, necessitating more expensive rockets, today's design philosophy prioritizes lightweight construction. This shift enables modern landers to be launched by more cost-effective rockets, such as the Falcon 9, making lunar missions more economically feasible. With this wealth of data from various lunar locations, NASA and other space agencies can more accurately select optimal landing sites for human missions, maximizing the scientific output and impact of their time on the moon. These manned missions are expected to conduct significantly more science than robotic probes, though they come at a cost, being 10 to 20 times more expensive. Consequently, efficient use of time on the lunar surface is crucial to enhance the sustainability and overall success of these ambitious programs. Up to this point, the modern landers sound incredibly capable and exciting. But what about the
propellant leak?
Lost communication.
Tipped on its side, crashed.
Crashed.
Oh, yeah, right, that is why we made this video. What the heck happened? The answer is surprisingly straightforward. Money, or more precisely, the lack of it. Although this may seem bleak, let's examine some quick figures for perspective. In NASA's case, today's lunar programs often get compared to yesterday's, at least when you read the comments online. I have regrets in that regard. Let's look at the resources and compare. In the 1960s, NASA spent the equivalent of $5.75 billion in today's US dollars on its uncrewed Ranger and Surveyor programs, which averaged out to $359 million per mission. In contrast, today's CLIPS program operates on a maximum budget of $2.6 billion US dollars through 2028, with each mission costing approximately $70 million. That's less than half the total historical budget and only a fifth of the cost per landing attempt. The CLIPS program isn't just developing a single lander either. It has contracted for the development of 5 distinct landers. They are not the same. Each one is equipped with unique software, hardware, and advantages. These are managed by small independent teams, not the thousands of individuals who worked on projects in the past. The difference in scale and approach is stark. It is essential to note that NASA's budget today is approximately 1/10 of what it was at its peak in the 1960s. Yet it achieves more science per dollar than ever, thanks to decades of continued investment in technology. More funding equates to more resources, which with effective program management, boing! It is the darn money, it always was. Contrast this with SpaceX's Starship program, which isn't constrained by a tight budget at all. They've so far invested billions into every aspect of the program, equipping it with the resources needed to aim for Mars as quickly as possible. And SpaceX isn't done funding either. Unfortunately, NASA doesn't enjoy the same financial freedom thanks to the guys in the Capitol. And it is getting worse. We need our policymakers to fully grasp not just the scientific, but also the significant political advantages of lunar exploration. The Artemis Accords serve as a prime example of how setting the moon as a common goal can motivate countries to commit resources to a unified international effort. This collaboration enhances diplomatic relations, which can lead to increased trade and, critically, the promotion of peace. So, what can we expect from these new lunar programs in the future? In the most optimistic projections, we foresee unprecedented exploration and scientific breakthroughs that surpass anything previously achieved. Technically speaking, the current challenges with lunar landings will likely diminish as the most valuable resource, experience, is accumulated. Earning future customers is critical for private companies, so these providers will move lunar mountains to ensure their customers' payloads will arrive safely on the lunar surface. Can you imagine the potential of an array of radio telescopes on the far side of the moon? Positioned away from the radio noise of Earth and the Sun, the clarity of their observations could revolutionize our understanding of the universe. Remember the gas station on the moon I mentioned in the beginning? Such a propellant plant would make any trip further out into the solar system much easier. Lifting anything up from Earth to space costs vast amounts of money. Unfortunately, our homeworld's gravity is strong. Launching from the moon is way easier once a base is established. 20 years ago, it was hard to foresee the current state of the low Earth orbit economy we have established by now. Several businesses are actively involved in sending payloads to the ISS, planning to remove space debris, imaging the entire planet daily, engaging in space tourism, and even laying the groundwork for multiple commercial space stations. All these ventures have been made possible thanks to the significant reduction in access cost. Envisioning a future lunar economy follows a similar trajectory. Lowering the barriers to lunar access not only paves the way for economic viability, but also deepens our understanding of our origins and sets the stage for future exploration. That's it for today. Remember to smash the like button, subscribe to ensure more videos are coming your way. This is what fuels the algorithm for free. Check out our epic shirts in your favorite Space Nerd store. Link is in the description and in the card you should see now. And if you want to learn more, watch this video next to continue your journey. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next episode.